This is one of the last places in the world that makes papyrus paper. People in this small Egyptian village reinvented the ancient process in the 1970s, and the industry thrived selling papyrus art to tourists. But today, there's little demand for the paper, and the plant is nearly extinct in Egypt. Those that remain are determined to carry on this piece of Egypt's history. We visited El Karamus to see how the ancient craft is still standing. Ataf Mohammed Shahaita spends about 2 hours harvesting papyrus by hand from the single acre he owns. It takes a year for a papyrus seedling to grow to this size. After it's cut down, it grows back in 1 or 2 months. At one point, the village's land was filled with the plant. But today, there are only 10 acres left. Ataf carries the plant about a mile to his workshop, where he employs 7 people. They chop the stalks based on the size they want the paper. Then, workers spend the entire day cutting the papyrus into thin strips, using a fishing line. This method is more efficient than the ancient process.
كان عشان يشرخوا بيشرخوا بالسكينة، احنا عندنا فتلة خيط بلاستيك.
But it's still exhausting.
مسكة الخيط كده ومسكة العود يعني مش سهلة، مش أي حد يعرف يعملها.
The strips soak in hot water mixed with potassium hydrate for a couple days. The chemicals speed up the fermentation process.
بنشرخ بيها. عندنا التخمير كان زمان هم بيخمروا بيبطي أسبوع و2، احنا بنقعد بنخمر يوم و2.
Then they rinse the strips with water and chlorine to lighten the color.
اللون الورقة كانت غامقة عندهم، احنا عندنا صنعنا اللون بالكرول. عاد عندنا كرول بيدينا اللون الفاتح والغامق. نتحكم فيه يعني.
Workers lay out the wet papyrus strip by strip. Each sheet of paper has 2 layers, one vertical and one horizontal, to strengthen it. Then, the stack goes into the compressor to dry.
كان زمان ايام الفراعنه كان لما بيجوا يكبسوا الورق بقى يجيبوا حجاره ويكبسوها، احنا عندنا مكابس.
After that, the sheets are sandwiched between pieces of cardboard to soak up any leftover moisture.
100% كده الورقه نشفت اهي. كده خلصت على الغيار، كده تمام. نحطه في كيس ونعد الورق لايه مثلا واحد عايز مثلا 500,000 ورقه بنديها له.
Ataf sells the paper to artists across the village, including Saeed Tarahan. He started out farming the plant, and today he works as an artist.
فتعالى واخد بالك شوف شتله واخد بالك صغيره واخد بالك مزروعه شفتها واخد بالك بدات تكبر والموضوع بدا يعني ايه نكبر معاه. اكبر فتره من عمري وانا بمارسها بقت جزء مني.
But since the COVID-19 pandemic put a halt on tourism, he struggled to find a market. He had to close down his shop and lay off his workers just a couple weeks ago. Now he works out of his home.
مفروض واخد بالك ان ده شكل انوبس موجود على خزنه توت عنخ امون، ادي اسمه موجود، وانوبس واخد بالك على خزنه، ده مقطع منه يعني. المفروض ان صندوق المجوهرات بتاعه وده واخد بالك. هنبدا واخد بالك نملى مساحات ونعمل شكله اللي موجود في الاصل يعني.
All of Saeed's paintings include ancient Egyptian motifs to pay homage to papyrus's origin.
كان ليها عند الفراعنه واخد بالك تاريخ وليها قيمه احنا حاسين بيه، وعشان كده واخد بالك يعني لان دي قصه وتاريخ فاحنا محتفظين واخد بالك بالكلام ده وعارفين قيمته.
Egyptians invented papyrus paper at least 5,000 years ago, replacing clay tablets and revolutionizing the written word. They used it for things like marriage contracts and shopping lists. They also turned the plant into a weaving material for sandals and baskets. Cheaper paper made from wood pulp or plant fibers eventually replaced papyrus paper, and the plant became nearly extinct in Egypt by the early 1800s, until an art professor and an engineer brought back seeds from other African countries in the 1970s. They set up plantations and workshops in El Karamus. and papyrus became the center of the local economy.
الورق البردي لما نزل قرموس احنا اشتغلناه فيه، كان احنا بنزرع اراضينا قمح، الجنيه هو افضل من زرع القمح يعني بيكسب.
Almost everyone in the village was involved with processing raw materials or making artwork to sell to tourists. Saeed got into papyrus because his cousin was the art professor who helped revive it. He remembers it as a turning point for the village.
فدي واخد بالك اهي زراعه جديده، لكن اثرت فينا واخد بالك يعني اقتصاديا المردود والعائد الاقتصادي واخد بالك والثقافي والاجتماعي، لا غيرتنا واخد بالك بالطبع. كان تغيير واخد بالك للاحسن.
But after the Arab Spring uprisings in 2011, tourism in Egypt crashed. The country saw a 63% drop in visitors over the following years through 2016. And the market for papyrus paper nearly vanished. A decade later, the industry had just started to recover when the pandemic hit. Saeed has gotten just one order in the past week. A painting like this normally sells to tourist shops for 50 Egyptian pounds, or $3. Bigger and more detailed pieces go for up to 500 Egyptian pounds, or $32. But with sales down, Saeed has had to work another job to keep his business afloat. And he says he'll do everything he can to save the art.
الناس اصبحت واخد بالك النهارده بقت حاجه اساسيه جدا في حياتنا. لا ما ينفعش. شعوري انا الشخصي واخد بالك في حاله ان انا يعني هحس واخد بالك ان انا افتقدت حاجه مهمه جدا جدا في حياتي.
Atef is also determined to keep Egypt's history alive.
فدي مش حكايه فلوس، ان هي ايام جدي وابويا ان هي موجودين واحنا تربينا عليها، يعني ازعل جامد ان انقرضت الورق البردي يعني.
And with Egypt's tourism industry expected to recover this year, Saeed is holding out hope for papyrus.
أنا توقعي واخد بالك إنه لهذه الحرفة الازدهار إن شاء الله، بدليل حجم المتاحف اللي بتنشأ واخد بالك في مصر، وهي عموما السياحة في مصر تمرض ولا تموت.